TwoSun TS403. Pretty unique looking knife. It's got D2 steel, titanium, a couple of different sections of titanium in here. Nice titanium pocket clip. I purchased this knife. I've got a pretty large TwoSun collection, as well as some other knives, but I purchased this more as a novelty, I think. It looks so odd that I thought, man, this is one of those that I definitely got to add to my collection. And I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's going to see any real pocket time with me, just because I tend to really abuse my pocket knives and put them to work. And this is more of a collector's piece, I believe, just kind of looking at it. It's my opinion. But with that said, it's got great feel in the hand. It's got good jimping here on the spine. The thumb just locks in. My four fingers lock in this space from here to here really well. And it's machined so nice that that's actually a really comfortable, strong grip. And usually when I get a knife, I disassemble them and I tend to strop them and clean them up. This one I stropped just slightly. I haven't disassembled it yet. I figured I'd do it in this video. Won't take long. It's just such a unique knife that I thought I'd take it apart in the video and let's just see really what's going on here. I got it for a good price. I use eBay to buy most of my TwoSuns. I believe these are going for around $100 a knife on White Mountain. And I think in eBay you can get them around $70, maybe even sub $60 if you're patient and really, play the eBay game, which I do regularly. Like I say, I have several of these knives, and when I say several, I mean like over 100. So I have a lot of these TwoSuns, and almost exclusively I bought them through eBay over the years. So anyways, let's take it apart and see how it goes. Pretty unique looking. I'm not really sure how all this works. There's two screws. There's one here, and I'm assuming these are connected, this screw. So one screw here, and then the pivot screw. There's no real milling on any of the titanium. It's just smooth, really comfortable in the hand. And then, of course, this anodized titanium is super smooth. So anyways, let's take it apart. Let's see what we got going on here. Looks like just these two screws, so that's where I'm going to head and see where it gets us. I find TwoSun knives some of the easiest knives to take apart and reassemble. They do come covered in oil. So this one I wiped down on the outside, but I haven't touched it on the inside. So the outside was pretty clean. This is pretty interesting here. Look at the intricate way that they've mounted this liner lock here. And it looks like titanium, but I believe that to be steel. So steel mounted with these two screws into that titanium. Very interesting. Let's see. Super well done. Very nice. But this is interesting. Definitely different. So let's see if we can't finish the disassembly here. There's a couple of bearings, a couple of pivots. Got these little races that the bearings ride in. And I will say, I do this with almost every knife that I purchase. I just take them apart, tune them up, clean them up. There tends to be gunk in these bearing races. And so I trust these manufacturers to machine these properly and build them well. I'm just not so sure that they clean them as well as I would clean them. And so I like to get them taken apart. It's not that hard to get them apart. Plus, it familiarizes me with the pieces and parts. And then if I need to Loctite something or tighten something up, um, it's not hard to do. And of course, I'm playing the focus game here, but yeah, let's clean it up. So I use a microfiber to clean everything. I just wipe it down and it tends to work really well. These areas here, I really focus on getting those as clean as I possibly can. Get all the oil and dirt. I mean, by and large, I could say that I'm very confident by me doing this that my knives function better than when I get them from the factory. It's a small thing, but I mean, just my experience with many knives purchased and traded and brought into my world, when I clean them up, they run better. So what's that tell me? There's grit and dirt and I don't know if the oil's the same or if it's not sure. I don't think I'm going to try any harder to get that out of there. It probably would come out. I've got a little poker that I may try to dig that out of there with. But like I was saying, I just know that these knives run better when I clean them up. As far as these races and bearings, I just take them on the short nap side of these towels and give them a good scrub on there. And if you can see the discoloration on the towel, I mean, all that's coming from this spot right here. That's coming off of these bearings and these little races. So 100% there's dirt in them. I know there is because it wouldn't discolor this towel. So listen, I do the same thing with a firearm. I don't buy firearms and then put them to duty in my pocket or in a holster. I don't bring them to bear into my life that I'm going to count on them without taking them apart, inspecting them, doing basically a check-in, making sure everything functions and is lubed properly or not over lubed is a big one. So all this is cleaned up now, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back together. I'm not familiar with it, so kind of bear with me. It's probably going to take me just a minute to try to figure out how all this went again. That looks like that was there for sure. And this pivot, I mean, it's not overly complicated to take these apart and put them together. I guess if you've done one knife or 10 knives or 100 knives, eventually you kind of go, well, I mean, they only go together one way. So I'm going to start with this D pivot and make sure that it's anchored. And we'll use this side as my anchor and build everything off of that. That locks everything in for me. So got a couple of pivots that need to go in. These little pins. I guess that one goes on there. It's kind of definitely a different knife, the way that they've put this together with all these pieces. Very interesting. Nice little racetrack for these bearings to ride in there. Just creates such a good action. I use this Hops number 9. Use it on firearms, but I also use it on knives. Works really well. A couple of drops on these bearings. They don't gather too much dirt, and they run really well. I'm not saying it's better than any other lube, but it definitely works, and so I've used it for a long time, and works for me. I like the little bottle it comes in too, and I just buy bigger bottles and refill that bottle. So race, bearing, knife, bearing, race. Seemed pretty simple. And then I believe that piece. And I think I'll go to this pocket clip and secure it first. I tend to not Loctite these outside screws, and I may Loctite a pivot screw. So just to show my process, I use this stick and I put just a little dab. I'll roll it through there. Got just a little bit on those threads. Doesn't take much for these small screws. And I'll tighten it, run that action in and out, and then I'll check this, maybe back it off, run it in again, add a little bit. And of course there's a feel to that, but boy, that's almost just dropped shut right there. So I'll check that for tightness there. It's very tight, but I also unlock it and check it. I just want to make sure I don't have any play this way, just kind of, and then I twist just slightly to make sure that I'm not rocking side to side. And if I'm solid there, then there's no reason for me to tighten that anymore. So I am going to snug this one up just a little bit more. Let's check that. And then once I check in a knife like this, if I Loctite or do any of that, they will go in a case and be put aside for at least 24 hours before I do anything else with the knife. If I'm going to carry it, once I do that, I let that Loctite set up. It's nothing worse than going through that whole process thinking that everything's tuned and ready to go, and then not let that Loctite set up and it comes loose. So that's it. I mean, I don't know how long that took. I didn't time it, but a few short minutes, I got it apart, got it clean, re-lubed, ready to go. So a very cool knife, great action, really nice in the hand, feels really good. All of the deployments are good. The thumb stud, the flick, just the action is so good on this. The back flipper, run a thumb flip on it, really nice. So I like it. Pretty interesting. Definitely an add to my collection. I mean, if I was going to rank this knife on a ABC scale, my A's I would never get rid of. They're collectors. I keep them. Even if I never carried it, if I never took it out and played with it, it's just something that once I've acquired it, I would just never get rid of it. There's also A's that are really good users, favorite knives that I like to put in my pocket. They carry well, they're functional. This would be an A knife, only because of the uniqueness of it. If you're a TwoSun collector, I would think that this is one that you put in and you keep. There's no reason to get rid of it. Just keep it with the collection. Anyways, TS403. It's about 5 ounces. I believe the blade is just shy of 3 inches. So, pretty nice. Let's say $70 to $100, depending on where you pick it up. Anyways, thanks for watching.